Hi everyone, this is Ashley with CT Muna Digitals. I am just going to do a quick tutorial to show you how to use my new fall branch overlays in Photoshop. You may have already seen my other tutorials for my other branch overlays, but I wanted to just do a new and updated one for the fall branches. So I have open my image that I'm going to use. I have open an overlay. I'm not necessarily going to do this one. I just wanted to show you a couple different ways to get them into your image. So you can just select all, edit, copy, and edit and paste into your image, and then resize them to fit your image. Or another way that you can do it, I could change this into a smart object and do it from here, but I'm just gonna get rid of this one for now. And I'm gonna go up to File and Place Embedded. And then you would navigate to the folder wherever your overlays are saved, and choose an overlay that you want to use. I'm just going to pick the last one here. Okay, and press that check mark there, and then resize if you need to. Now with the Place Embedded method, you can right click on here and replace contents, and then you can quickly flip between different overlays to see maybe which one you want to use or which one fits the best. I'm going to go back because I'm just going to edit using this one. So now you want to add all of your adjustment layers to make it look a little bit more realistic. Before you do that, if you're sure that you have the overlay you're going to use, just so you don't run into any issues, go ahead and right click that layer and rasterize layer. That's going to make it so it's not a smart object anymore. And you can add anything you want to it. So I have, the first thing I want to do is, the brightness on them doesn't look too bad, but I think I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. So I'm going to add a curves layer, and then you want to make sure that you're checking this box right here, which is the clipping mask, and that's going to make it so you're only editing, whatever you're adding is only being added to the overlay and not the backdrop itself. Like I'll show you here, if I bring down curves, it's going to bring it down on the entire image. But if I click that clipping mask right there, it's only going to apply it to those leaves there. And now I did already set these branches together in all of the overlays, so they are gonna, some of them will be the whole one will be in focus, like every branch, but I wanted to, most of them are gonna already have depth added to them, so you don't have to do too much editing or tweaking, overlaying them on an image. It's already got really pretty bokeh and depth of field within the leaves. So I would actually be fine with leaving this the way it is, but I want to show you a couple different things that you can do with your adjustments to change it up a little bit if you wanted to. Now, I'm going to click back on my branch overlay here, and every adjustment layer I add after the initial one, it should clip right to it so we don't have to keep creating that clipping mask. So I'm going to go into my hue saturation. And this is one that you can play around with. Say if you wanted like yellow leaves or red leaves, you could do the slider here and make them yellow. You could make them red. If you wanted this a little bit pink, slide it a little bit more this way. There we go. If you wanted them red but not as saturated, you would come down here to your saturation and you could desaturate them a little bit. That actually looks really pretty. That's a nice pop of contrast there. I don't really ever mess around with the lightness slider within the hue saturation adjustment because it doesn't really do the best job. It's easier, or I shouldn't say easier, better. It looks better if you just use either your levels or your curves or your exposure instead of just using this light and dark. It kind of just makes it look a little muddy. So I don't ever use that. But that hue saturation layer is a good one that you can use. That's really all I really ever use when I want to change the color or something of the leaves. If you want to get really creative and do different color leaves, you could, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that layer real quick. You could create a new layer on, and again, that's already going to create the clipping mask for you because that curves layer was already clipped and you're doing it in between. I'm going to put it on color blending mode. And then I'm going to come over to my brush. I want to use a soft brush at 100% opacity. I could go into my color picker over here and I could pick a red, and you could paint some of the leaves red. That's a little bright, so I might go back and pick a different color. Make it a little bit darker down here. And now that's not, it's a happy medium somewhere, right? There we go. Paint some of them red. If you wanted all the different fall colors, and then you could create another layer and do like all the colors on separate layers, but I'm just going to do it all on the same. Do a yellow. That's like a green. Excuse me, the sniffles, my allergies are crazy. There we go, let's try that one. Still kind of green. You might need to mess around with it a little bit, but that's a way that you can go in and paint different. Obviously it takes longer, but if you really wanted to do that, you could, once you had that done and you really liked how it looked, you could you could get rid of your image here, and then merge visible, right click and merge visible, and you could even go back into you could save this file, save as, in your folder where everything's saved, and just make sure you save it as a PNG file so it has that transparent background. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, get rid of all that stuff. I'm actually just going to get rid of that layer because I only want to keep the curves. And now if you don't like having really any of the leaves in focus and you just want to have everything blurred, like I said, some of them are already blurred, but that's okay. You could just go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then just add some blur to all. Play around with the kind of depth that you want. You won't too much because then it kind of looks, it actually kind of looks okay with this one, having a lot in there. But that looks a little bit better, just so you can kind of still see some of the detail. The more blur that you add, say you do want to add a lot of blur like this, after you do that, that can create banding. So I recommend if you do add a lot of blur to it, press OK, go back up to filter and noise and add noise, and add like, definitely not 9.29, add like 1 to 2% of noise, just so it gets rid of any banding that it creates on those leaves. I didn't see any banding, but just to be safe, if I'm adding a lot of blur to something, I like to put some noise on top of it just so it doesn't add any banding that maybe I can't see. So I'm going to get rid of this one real quick. I'm going to change it into a smart object so I can just quickly, so let's right click, convert to smart object, then I'm going to right click again, replace contents, excuse me. And then I'm going to see if I can find one that kind of has everything in focus. I have these flowers here. These are all in focus. And this is one that I kind of did. I left it as is with the sharp edges because if somebody wants to use them that way for any reason on a board or on an image, you can. But this was kind of one that I put together with the intention to probably make it blurred as like at the floor on an image. You could even use this on like a flower field. These are mums, but you could even use it on like a outdoor image, excuse me, to make like kind of a flower overlay, or like on the backdrop up here. So you can, let's say you want to flip it. It's another thing. Make sure the light is coming from the right direction. See, the light's falling from this way and it's falling on the flowers that way too. So that's good. But if it wasn't, I would need to right click, flip horizontally to make sure that light was coming from the right way. Okay, so that's horizontal. I'm going to flip it vertical though and put it up here. I don't really like how it looks for this image, but that's another thing, that way that you can use it. I'm going to put it back down here. I'm definitely going to bring down do a curves adjustment layer on this because I don't like how bright it is for this image. And then I might even, excuse me, bring down the brightness a little bit too. Whoops, I didn't do it in between those layers. I could have just clicked this too, but okay. And now I'm going to go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and I don't want it blurred that much, but I would probably do it about that. Drag it down. So if you move it after that, it's just going to temporarily remove that. And then once you move it, it'll put it back. So that's pretty. I wouldn't probably use this one on necessarily on this image because there's not really florals. I don't know. I just don't like the way it really looks with this specific image, but it can be really pretty with a different one. So that's if you kind of want the whole thing to be blurred. But like I said before, replace contents again. Most of them I already have some depth in there. These are really pretty flowers, fall flowers. Okay, so see, it's taking it off right now because I'm moving it. This is how the original one looks, but since I'm replacing contents after adding that blur already, it's gonna add the blur to it again. So watch, if I click that, it's all gonna be blurred again. If you don't want that, all you have to do is right click and delete filter mask, or I'm sorry, disable clear smart filters. Geez, I'll get there. This is a really pretty one. This is probably one of my favorites with these fall florals in here. And it already added my adjustments there. So if you wanted to maybe get rid of those or adjust those a little bit, you could. But that's all. They're pretty simple to use. PNG backgrounds, so they're transparent. You can lay right over. You just have to adjust them to look right on your image. Obviously, if you place extremely bright flowers over a more like rich tone, dark shadow image, it's not going to look realistic. So you do have to add those adjustment layers to tweak it for every individual image. If you have any questions, please send me a message. If you are a photographer, I would love for you to join my group on Facebook. I will link it in the description. If you want more free videos like this one, please be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified when I add more.